Dancing.
Why do you call this archetype sacred slut?
Wow. I really have this big mission to reclaim words that dysregulate us. So you'll see sacred slut, you'll see fuck codependency, you'll see seductress, you'll see becoming that bitch. All these terms that we often have demonized, and we let people use them as power over us. So when it comes to slut, one, also the other side of this is people, I feel, want to have this sexual expression that we suppress. We demonize as we don't have it, or it's not healthy, or I don't know how to express it, or it's stigmatized, what have you. And if we're looking at healthy relationships, and I speak to men and women relationships, that's what I specialize in. So I'm going to speak to this, but I really believe this is every relationship. We want someone that is a stable, nurturing force, which is a living sanctuary. We want someone that we can be intimate with, that we can explore with, that can rock our freaking socks us and ground us and like have this earth-shattering sex that, you know, we forget our name and what planet we're on, right? And then we have this like CEO, boss, queen kind of vibe energy. These things all attract a man. And oftentimes we're usually picking one or the other, but it's all three that come together. And so what I've been focusing on in building this pathway, what you see in Backstage Pass, what you see in Icon, you see in everything, is pulling all three of these archetypes into who you are, especially as a partner to someone, not just business or life or friend or whatever. Like it's all the things, but specifically in this realm, it's pulling in these three archetypes so you can have the relationship you want, and you can claim ownership over words and like use them to like turn you on as opposed to close you off and shut you down and piss you off.
One of the biggest things is like the fear of the mirror. Like, we don't like to look at ourselves when we have body image issues. It's like get dressed really fast and, you know, not look at ourselves, not make eye contact with ourselves. And a practice that I got really comfortable with is admiring what's in the mirror. And doing this practice where it's like a body scan. And you start from your toes and you work your way up, and you see how long it takes for you to witness a bad thought coming through. So like say you get to your knees and you're like, ugh, I haven't shaped my legs, and it's like start over, go to the bottom, start your way back up, and you work your way up until you don't have anything negative to say about your body. And it's one of the most healing practices for my clients, for myself, to really just witness your body and witness the thoughts that you have about your body. Sometimes we're going so fast throughout our day, don't slow down and really hear the thoughts of like thinking we're fat or different ailments, or when we catch our reflection in the mirror and we're like, oh, like, and we just kind of keep going at that pace and we don't slow down enough to really truly hear it. Taking ownership, like you can't shift a behavior or feeling or anything like that if you have not intentionally slowed down enough to hear that inner child and hear that wounding that's going in and really witnessing it.
When a client comes to you and says, I've been trying different things to get myself turned on, but nothing works, I just can't feel comfortable, this is so awkward, it's getting to the point that it's causing frustration in my relationships or even in dating, what do you suggest?
So this has to do with, if I were to say you were to sit down with me, we would start to explore going through again the acceptance, awareness, action piece. And it's looking at what can you make a list of things that do turn you on? Are you tapped into that first off? And does that actually have to do with the shape of your body? Most times. Because as our body shifts and molds and things of that nature, yeah, it can be uncomfortable. Like I remember when that was a big thing for me, where it was like, I had gained 40 pounds and I was afraid and I didn't know how to move my body and I couldn't be in my body. But the way that we actually achieve better sex and better orgasm is through being in our body. So I would walk you through, say we were working in Iconic together, right? I would walk you through what are practices that can get you in your body. You saw so many of them in this program and you're going to continue to see them. but where can we start to neutralize that negative tone or that fear that we have around it? Like what ways, if we're having fear in the bedroom or we're having discomfort in the bedroom, where throughout your day can you practice being in your body? And that might feel foreign and that might feel crunchy. So we'd be working through like, what is that? One, like what's the origin of that? Where did that start to not feel safe? And then two, what simple practice is. You know, I showed you ice rolling on your face, that touch your body, body scanning in the morning, just touching yourself. Like I know when my brain gets away from me, something I would do with some clients as well is holding like a rubber band on their wrist. If their brain gets away from them, snap the wrist, get them back into their body. And so oftentimes we're like trying to fix things in the bedroom, like we're getting a bunch of lubes and toys and things to like spark things up, and those are all great and dandy. But if we're looking at our brain and looking at like the dual control system in our body, which is like we have accelerators and we have brakes. Accelerators would be the sensual bits, would be the lube and the toys and the lingerie and the things of that nature. And that's what we often spend too much time on. But we have the brakes going, right? So I'd help a client by looking at what is putting that brake on, right? Because it doesn't matter how hard you hit that accelerator if the brake is pushed all the way down. And this is where we get things really messed up. So it's looking closely at your story, at your nervous system, at the things, at the tools, at the life, at the stories, at all the trauma that we get stored in our body that clenches us up and presses that brake down, so we can start to lessen the brake and turn on the ons and turns off the offs, because they're two separate systems, right? Like it's not like they work together. It's not like if I press the accelerator a little bit harder, somehow the brake will go. They're two separate systems. So we have to look at what's causing the brake to press so hard, and then what actually is part of the accelerator actually works. What can we use as a turn on thing? So looking at those two things, looking at the nervous system regulating, getting the trauma sorted out would be the first place that I would look at.
Another way is after a shower, instead of like rushing through, one, I'll talk about this more when we talk about but prepare your body as if you were going on a date every single day. Like shave your fucking legs, shave your armpits, shave your pussy. Like if that's what you do, but like don't just do it because a date or a partner or a thing like that. Like make sure you're doing these things for yourself. Feel good for you. The second thing is when you're doing your oils or you're doing your lotions or you're doing your things, like be slow, feel your body, right? The way we start to become the one, you know, when we're doing relationships and we're trying to be in our body and build these kind of things, I feel like often we're waiting for someone to come into our lives to make us feel confident and feel whole and feel these things. And if I like to think it in weird ways, like as I'm getting dressed or as I'm putting my stuff on, like if sexy man was here and he was like sitting on the couch out there and he was watching me do this, like how would I be putting it on, and like what parts of my body can I really feel and touch, and you know, get into the body, get used to this being your body. No matter what shape you're at, like you can have goals for where you want to go. Like I remember when I was doing the healing pounds, which is what happened to my body because I was so small and I needed to gain extra weight. It wasn't even I just needed to gain the weight that I'm at now. I had to be more, right? And that's when all of this work came into it, because I had to get comfortable being more. And I knew I was carrying excess weight and I had to do the work around becoming okay about that. And that only came from getting comfortable with looking at it, with touching it, with dressing it, with, you know, really admiring her and how, you know, she was doing the thing for her future self, and knowing it wasn't a forever thing, but like it wasn't beating myself up all the time and like grabbing my roles and doing my things. Of course, there were days, like there's days and there's tools and there's stuff and there's conversation. And on those days, that's when we use these other tools of snapping. It's looking at yourself in the mirror. A big thing with trauma too, and a big thing with recovery is like not making eye contact. Like we avoid eye contact, specifically with ourselves, and spending time looking at yourself and making eye contact and admiring the warrior that you are, and all the things from this day that you've walked yourself through, and all the things that you will continue to walk yourself through. But like, slow down when you're naked. Slow down when you're in your rawest form. It's like, no shit you're trying to rush sex, or no shit you want to be fucked with the lights off, and no shit like you're rushing, you know, and like not embodied, and you're not having this mind-blowing sex that like rips open your soul in all the ways that you didn't even know was imaginable, because you're not okay being naked. You're not okay seeing your body and what it's at and its rawness and all the glory. Like, confidence doesn't come from the 6-pack and the size 2. Like, it really doesn't. I was a size 0. I was all the things. Like, I was so unconfident then. Like, I was so self-conscious then, and, you know, working to be comfortable at a size whatever I was at that time came from these practices, came from sitting and like doing the work and feeling the discomfort, right? Like, witnessing that inner child come through, where it's like, the voice is still going to be there, especially when you're in recovery. Like, when you look at yourself, and this is why the body scan is so important when you're going from head to foot, and just witnessing the thoughts that come through, because oftentimes we're going so fast that we don't even hear the thought. We don't even know it. That inner child is trying to come through and to fight and to do these kind of things. And so when you can really see it, and it's not, you don't do anything with it necessarily, it's just you start over and you witness it. It's not shaming it. You can't shame your inner child to go away, like to be like, fuck you, I shouldn't have these thoughts. It's just like, oh, that's interesting. And then we go and we start, and then we go and we start, and we go and we start. And it's just this practice of witnessing it without making it good or bad. So I'm gonna get dressed.
Okay, so a thing about working from home is we often don't get cute and cozy and like do our makeup and do the things unless we go live, if you're like me. But a lot of us kind of stay dreary. This, right? You're allowed to do what you want, take it what you leave it. But I have realized a huge boost in my mental health, my confidence, my stuff, my everything, when I actually get ready as if I'm going to an office. Because you feel good, you look in the mirror and you're like, who is she? And it's like, it's a vibe. So I like to do minimal things. I'm still relatively like today's little cozier vibes, but dress like the boss, badass, bougie, savage, slut that you are, baby. Like, that, it comes from who you are and what you do and how you put yourself together. Like, it sounds so silly, but when you start to act in this way of a self-confident woman, of the people that we see and we scroll and we see what they're doing and we're like, oh my God, I love their outfit and I love what they're doing, but I have nowhere to go. It's like, dress as though you do. Dress as though you're going on your date. Shave your legs, get ready, like prepare yourself in that type of way, and your body will start to heighten. It's your programming, right? You start to act as if, and then it starts to become your reality. And yes, sometimes you don't feel like it, and that's okay. You have seen me majority of this entire thing in my robe. It's just on days when you're feeling a little bit sluggish and you're having these like body image issues and body dysmorphia and things like that. Are you showing up for yourself? Like, what are you doing? And how, and like, even on days like, this is what I do when I'm feeling my worst, honestly. Like, I let myself have my burrito day moment, whatever, and then I get ready and I pull myself together, and voila, boom.
Does this apply to the person that doesn't identify as being a sexual person?
Yeah, 100%, because it's diving deeper. We're all sexual human beings, right? We often kind of misconstrued. We're like, well, sex is just for reproduction. And it's like, if we were animals, yes. But the difference between animals and us is we have pleasure within us. We often just shut that down because we don't know how to tap into it. We've been through trauma, we've been through things. And so our psychological brain is like, unsafe, and shuts down. So if we're looking to explore this, it's not saying, oh, I need to go run across and call myself a slut and start wearing lingerie and do all these kind of things that you see me do. It's like, what is your edge in this? It's how can we start to reactivate what pleasure means to you so that we can open up what it means to be sexual. It doesn't mean we're going to go and like fuck everyone around the world. It's like, we're going to open up this part of ourselves because you are a sexual human being, because you like pleasure. It's a behavioral, it's a psychological, it's a sociological, like, it's not just behavioral reproduction. It is pleasure, connection, intimacy, self-discovery, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, all these other hormones, like they play into it, which separates us from the animal kingdom. So it's really awakening that. And really, I invite you to explore that. Maybe do like a word stem that you can do if that is resonating with you around like, I'm not a sexual person, like doing a brain stem or a word stem of like, I fear intimacy because, and just keep scripting that out until you can get to the bottom of it, of like, what is the actual fear around sexuality there, or intimacy, or whatever word that is blocking you from tapping into that.
Hi, friend. So let's talk sensuality. We want to tap into as many senses as you can to get you back into your body, right? When we've been through trauma or heartbreak or any type of thing, we do this psychological protection where we move into our mind and out of our body. So every single day, a main thing that I focus on is what ways can I get into my body today? Like, what will help me get into my body? What senses can I tap into? Because sometimes sensuality is a crunch, right? Like, I don't know where to start with that. Some people don't like the word slut. We like to reclaim words over here. But one of the main things around sensuality is it gets the wrong rap, right? Because we think it means like that boom, baby, which I'm all about. What I mean is, how many senses can we tap into? One, this helps you be more present and helps you actually activate memories in the making, which you know is a big thing about this brand. How many memories can we make in this lifetime, and how much life can I get out of my life? So when we're looking at how can we create more sensuality in our life, which means, the thing that I hear a lot is like, how much pleasure can I get? I feel like I'm not getting pleasure in the bedroom. Like, what can I do? It's not in the bedroom where you're not getting pleasure. It's in your life, right? So what can you do? Flowers. I always have candles, plants everywhere. I have different textures around things. I have music playing when I want to tap into my body. It's like I have snacks, juicy snacks, or, fun sparkling drinks that I'll be drinking. Taste, smell, sound, sight, all these kind of things. Tap into your 5 senses as much as you can throughout the day to get into your body. Like, just feel yourself and watch as this transforms your life in the bedroom.
I know you just mentioned that while you were healing your sexuality, you had to gain 40 pounds. And I remember this was really hard for you when you began to have sex again. How did you navigate that?
It was hard. I remember I wrote a post about it because I remember the night that I didn't slept with anyone for a really long time, because I was on this healing journey. This is what birthed Sacred Singlehood, right? Like I went on this 2-year no man diet, and in that process, because I had to regulate my hormones, I had 0 estrogen in my body, I had a whole bunch of chronic health issues. I think like I had to gain weight. If I had this scare where it was like, you may not be able to have children, and I was like, fuck, I really want to be a mom. Like, I have to do this. And so I had to get the support systems around that. That's where like high level mentorship, therapists, things of that nature came into play. And then I remember when I was laying in bed and I felt his hand on my pouch, like little, what all of us have. And I remember sucking in instantly. And I was like, and like thinking, Matt, like, and I brought that up to him months later, and he's like, I have never in my life thought anything like that. Like never in my life. Like, I never thought you were fat. I never thought any of the things that go on in your story inside of your brain and like the narratives of that nature. But it was hard. It was hard because I knew myself as a different size. And so everything in me just wanted to shut down. Everything in me wanted to make that my whole narrative, make that my whole identity. But what I really worked on was regulating myself around that. Is my worth really in the size of my body? Is my worth really in my athletic capabilities when I'm not an athlete? Is my worth really in these kind of things? So it just started by getting more comfortable in the skin, and it took practice. I'm not going to lie. Like, the thing of confidence is that you have fear, and then you have doing the action, you take the action, and that you keep doing that over and over and over again, and you realize, oh shit, like even though I'm afraid, and even though I'm self-conscious, and even though I feel like a fucking imposter, because all I can think about is like, yes, I'm standing tall, and yes, I'm standing proud, and yes, I'm having this type of sex. But it's like every time my brain would slip away, it wasn't me getting mad at myself, getting mad about my brain slipping away. It was just the awareness that I wasn't being in my body. I wasn't like, oh fuck, we're not in your body, you stupid little whatever. It was just like, how do I get back in my body? Okay, I'm noticing my brain slipping here. I'm noticing my brain thinking about laundry. I'm noticing my brain thinking about the size of my body right now, or this angle. It was like moving in a way that was like, can I get comfortable in this body that I'm in? Because I'm doing it for health. So I need to figure out a way to neutralize the heat that I feel around it and have the best orgasms of my life, 40 pounds heavier. And that's what happened.
Welcome to my bedroom. A big thing about pleasure and wanting to be in our body and wanting to have better sex and orgasms is, one, you have to learn how to be in your body. You can't have an orgasm in your mind. That doesn't work. It's getting in and being embodied. And a big thing is, if you want pleasure, are you giving yourself pleasure, right? Spend time masturbating. Spend time touching your body, feeling your body. And if you haven't masturbated and you feel a crunch around that because it feels too much, it's just like, then practice just like touching yourself and hugging yourself and like getting used to how your body feels. And, you know, not just looking for these dopamine hits, which is what, you know, sometimes when we're having, this is where like the porn addiction comes from, or when we're having sex and it's like rushed and quick and we just want to get it over with because we move on to the next thing, but we got our dopamine hit because we connected with our partner. Like actual pleasure, it's a slow burn, right? So like, how many ways can you slow it down in your day-to-day? Can you really bring pleasure into your home, into your bedroom, things of that nature? Like my bedroom is only my bedroom. Like I'm looking around right now, it's like, it's soft, it's dark, like or it's light, but when it's dark out, I only have like soft lights on. I'm trying to like, if I like think, it's like, what are those things called? Salt lamp. Pink Himalayan salt lamps. That's what I have around my house. There's no like harsh lighting. It's always a soft mood. I have like feathers. It's just, that's my vibe. So it's figuring out what is your vibe that really calms your senses, right? Like I have a lot of light tones. I'm a very earthy kind of tone person. Bringing that into your bedroom. Where can you bring pleasure into your bedroom? Then getting comfortable with your body. Can you spend time at night by yourself, feeling yourself? You don't have to masturbate essentially, but like, can you spend time touching your body and getting comfortable receiving a sensual type of touch? Because when a man comes and touches you and you're not used to it and it feels uncomfortable, but you haven't actually practiced that with yourself, of course it feels weird because you're not used to receiving it in that way. So it's like, can you get comfortable being in your body? What does it feel like? When does it start to feel like it's uncomfortable, right? Like when does it start to feel like, you know, you're nitpicking the roles that you have, or things that flab, or stretch marks, or smells, you know, like where does that part start to come in? Can you start to first get comfortable with that? So then when you do meet your match or with your partner, if you're currently with them, like you're already so neutralized around that because you've been doing the work that it's not a thing, right? Like sex is fucking weird. Sex, we make noises, there's smells, there's goos, there's liquids, like there's queefing, like there's sounds, there's stuff. Like no, like this is normal. This is normal. We forget that when it comes to porn and movies, like there are hundreds of people in that room orchestrating them on how to move so that they get the right angle. Like it's all orchestrated. Actual intimacy and sex, like it's funny, it's intimate, it's raw, it's animalistic, it's passionate, it's these things that come out, but sometimes we have a resistance to it because society and because we haven't yet got comfortable with our own acts of touching and what we feel like and things like that. So can you spend some time today, tomorrow, someday, just being with you? Can you make a practice? I know some of my moms, they call it like goddess night evening, and they'll, you know, close out the kids, close out the husband, like they just spend a time in their bedroom, you know, being with their body, being with their meditation practice, being with their journaling, like this is mommy time, this is what I'm doing, and like being with your body, because when you're with your body, you fill up your levels of oxytocin, which then spikes the testosterone in your man, and it gives you back that love bubble that you had in the beginning. Like this is the science part of it. So like bring that back in, get comfortable with yourself, and watch Your orgasms take you to the moon, baby.
What do you say to that woman that only wants to have sex with the lights off, or maybe she needs that 2 glasses of wine to make her feel a little bit more confident because she's too afraid of what she looks like in different positions?
When I see you, this is so many of us. This was me. I remember sharing the story where I was like, I don't think I've ever had sober sex. Like, I didn't think I had. Neutralizing that trauma response in your body. Like, what in you doesn't feel safe enough to relax, right? Because going back to the brakes and the accelerators, if you're worried about the lights being on, or, I mean, alcohol is an inhibitor, right? So it helps you to get off the brakes because you're not pressing down, you're not self-conscious, you're not thinking much because you're just in the moment. That's what it happens. But we want to get you to a safe place being in your body so that we can work with that brake and that accelerator and really witnessing how can you start getting comfortable with your body, right? Oftentimes we're not even aware of these things, of these insecurities, of these self-doubts, of these guilts, of these shames that we have because we've never actually spent time looking at our own body, touching our own body. We only feel these moments of intimacy when we're with a partner. And then we're somehow thinking we're going to heal that while we're with a partner. But that's one of the most vulnerable times, just being naked with someone, right? So yes, we can witness it. We can do the trauma work. Like, really, if we're looking at this type of aspect and we're feeling like it's the self-deprecating thoughts come in this, can you spend a little time by yourself? That's what I would have a client do. That's what I had one of my clients where it's like, this is what we worked on because she just was postpartum, right? Which is a hard time. It's a hard time for so many women because your hormones are dysregulated. You're like, what the hell am I doing? It's doing weird things. Like, I don't feel turned on. I don't want to do it. When like your man's like, you've never been more beautiful. And you're like, I don't fucking feel it. Your accelerator and your brakes are like, this isn't working. So what I started doing body scans where it's, you go from your foot, you work your way up. And I explained this in the video where it's like, look in your mirror, butt ass naked. And if it's too hard for you to be butt ass naked, wear some shorts and a t-shirt, wear your bra and underwear, whatever, but start with your toes and just witness your thoughts as you scan your body at first, from head to toe or from toe to head, and just witness what you're thinking. And then do it again where it's like, okay, you're starting at your toes, and then anytime you have a negative thought, like, oh, should have shaved, damn, start back over. And then go continue to work your way up your body to see how that makes you feel. And I started doing this with, and she's like, I couldn't do it. Honestly, she's like, I couldn't, like, we would have her session. She's like, I can't, it's too hard. Like, I don't like what I see. But she kept doing it, right? Like, it's one of those things where we kept working on that. We kept working on other things, regulating her nervous system and, you know, regulating her hormones, things like that come with postpartum. But this was one of the biggest ones, is like, if she wants to be intimate with her husband, she has to learn to be intimate with herself. And the same goes for anyone that's struggling with this. So practice time looking at your body, practice time touching your body, like, get comfortable at receiving your own touch. And like, if you start to feel the clench, it's like, what is that? And that's where, like, working with someone and working with me inside of Iconic, or working in these kind of elements, it's like, where can we start to practice what that block is? But if you're at that stage where it's like, how do you feel with your own hands on your body? Right? And start to work your way up. Again, we don't want to stress the nervous system. We want to stretch it. And if that is a stress for you with lights on and sober, okay, so what's that 1% that we can do and start to stretch the nervous system in that way?
Another thing about pleasure and all the kind of things, your underpants. Let's talk about it, because a lot of people have a resistance to lingerie because it's uncomfortable and all the kind of things. I get it. It's not everyone's cup of tea. The plan, keep an eye out, is to make a line one day that's more comfortable. But pretend every night is date night. I can't emphasize this enough, even if you're single, right? Like, I wear certain types of bras and underwear because, for me, when I go to the bathroom and I pull down my pants, I don't want to see granny panties or things that have holes in it, or things that have stains that I don't want to see, that I would be embarrassed if anyone saw. Like, I don't want that, because I love me. Like, why don't we treat ourselves, like, treat yourself like someone you love? And I get it, there's resistance, but that costs money and that takes time and da-da-da-da. Like, spend time, like, do it incrementally. Like, before I had money, I would just
get things on Amazon. I still do. Like, it's not fancy lingerie all the time. It's just like comfortable black underwear that like mostly what I wear. Like, that's what Sexy Man sees me in, and it's like a matching set. Like, it's things I'm comfortable people seeing me in. If I got taken to the hospital, they had to clip all my stuff off, like, would I be happy that they saw that? Yes. You know, like, I remember an ex saying that to me one time, like, always make sure your underwear doesn't have holes in it, because what if something happens and you have to go to the hospital? And like, it's so true. It's like, one, it makes you feel better. Like, respect yourself, treat yourself like it's date day every single fucking day. Spend time, spend money on things where it's like, this makes me feel really good. I take my pants off and I'm like, you're a bad bitch. Like, fuck yes, this feels good. Look at these things and start to get comfortable in that aspect where it's like, you are so worthy of that. It's not about someone coming in and making you feel sexy. It's you choosing that. It's you choosing this sacred slut, this sacred sexuality to be expressed. And it's not about like, oh, I can't wear that because I'm not at the right body size. I started doing this. When I hit my max weight, because I had to get to a certain, I went beyond a healthy weight point, like for a little bit, because you have to get to that to get your period back. You have to have extra weight. I went and I did a boudoir, however the fuck you say that word, photo shoot, and I got a book. And unfortunately, I gave it to an ex-boyfriend. But I did a book because I wanted to see how sexy I am at any size, because that comes from who I am, not how I look. And that goes for you too. So claim the size that you are. Start to dress and be in the body size that you are, because this is you right now. It's not waiting until then. Like, you are worthy to find love now. You are worthy to have mind-blowing sex now. You are worthy to be embodied now. You are worthy all of the things you desire. You're worthy of it all. You just have to claim ownership over that and stop using your egoic desires and societal norms as an excuse not to claim ownership over making a life that's magical and showing up as the sexual fucking human being that you are, right? Like, work on turning yourself on. Go right now, right the fuck now, pause this video, go throw out anything that has a fucking hole in it or a stain. Get rid of it right now. Please and thank you, goodbye. Right?
We've heard people going through body image healing struggle with adjusting to their new size. What do you suggest when this adjustment gets in the way of dating?
This is a really good one. I think more people should talk about that, especially post COVID, right? We have that COVID weight. A lot of us were locked up and all these kind of things. What I see and what I talk to you guys about in Bougie Savage is dress for the body that you have, as opposed to the body that you once had and the body that you are trying to build. Like, you are allowed to have goals. That is fine. If you're doing it from a healthy place, like, you are allowed to have body goals. That is fine. I have body goals. But what I actually walk my clients through is go into your closet, and any time you're trying to get dressed and it doesn't feel good, like the pants that don't fit because they're fucking from high school and you're 15 years older and you're not working out all day long, like, get rid of them. If it doesn't feel good and it reminds you of who you're not, why are you hanging on to it? We have this mentality where it's this like, one must struggle to have what they want, and one must struggle. Therefore, if I don't struggle, then I won't start to I won't be committed for the goals that I have, because something's not going to remind me of it. It's like, you're a strong, brilliant human being. You're here. You're working on yourself. You're wonderful. It's, how can I start to accept the fact that this is the body that I'm in? Because then if I'm showing up to dates and I don't accept the skin that I'm in, again, our relationships are a mirror for what we feel about ourselves, right? So if we're not feeling good about ourselves, and then we're sitting across the table from someone, you're going to be hit with that energetic match. So if you want someone that's like, holy, that it's taking radical ownership over that and doing that work for yourself first and then going to date. But you also don't have to pause any of this. It's like, okay, I get I'm going to be uncomfortable, but how present can I be on this date? Because fucking 90%, if you're if you're truly dating a high value man, they're not going to be thinking about that. If your confidence, like confidence doesn't come from the size of your pants. Confidence comes from you knowing exactly who the fuck you are, which is so rare in this dating world, in this world in general. We think it's the bling, we think it's the stuff, we think it's the size, we think it's all the stuff, you know, all the bells and whistles. Dating comes from, like successful dating comes from, is you know who you are and you're allowing someone to connect with you on that, instead of fidgeting and worrying about what you're doing and pulling your clothes and not being present with your date. Like, it's such an art form to actually be truly present and connected on your date and not worry about these things. So the more work that you can do around regulating your nervous system outside of dating, the more you'll have success within your dating, because it's not going to be part of your story. At first, like I said, when I was dating and I was the 40 pounds and all the things, yes, but it's the continuation. Of course, you feel like an imposter because you haven't done it yet, right? And then if the clothes you're wearing don't feel good because they're from the old body size and they're triggering or what have you, go shopping. I explain this in the next module, but go shopping, go to thrift stores, you know, borrow your friends' clothes. Like I borrowed my friends at Rent the Marina, until you find the style that works for you, so that you feel like your bougie, savage, sacred, slutty self. Okay? Do I have anything else to say about that? I feel like I have so many things to say about that because I think it gets in the way of dating. It's like, I am somehow not worthy to be loved because I'm this size. That's just not fucking true. That's a story that you tell yourself, and it's doing the inner work of like, who told you that and what belief systems have you built up around that? Because at the end of the day, when you are empowered and you become a high value woman, because you know who you are, you know what your standard is, you know how to dress yourself, you know how to speak, boundaries, communication, all the things, you're doing the trauma work, you're continually revisiting these regulation tools, you're a high value woman. A high value man isn't sitting there thinking about that. He's thinking about getting to know you and to see where things are going. And he already asked you on a date. So trust him in that and trust you in that and see how present you can be in that.